So first question is, what is server? What is the mean of server? So server means what? Server means, as its name says, server means the computer which can provide the service to available all the client computer. Right? Means server is a powerful computer that can provide the services to available all the client server in same net. So that is server. It can be the single or multiple computer. It is high configured machine and it can provide services and share resources. It is used in organization, right? And provide a centralized management. Means using central point you can control to all the systems, to control all the available PCs. And it is work on client server model. As we earlier discussed in networking, we have two types of network available according to the network configuration, that is peer to peer and client server. So it works on client server and it works 24 into 7 hours. Means suppose we have google.com server dot sorry facebook.com, so all works are 24 into 7 and it is also depend on the company purpose. After that, type of server. So if we talk about the types of server, so we have two types of server available. One is on premises server, second is cloud server. On premises server means it is installed in an organization, right? Means you can installed in an organization, have resources like data, file, user information. Means you can save this type of data, this type of resources or data, or you can connect it with LAN or WAN. You can connect this type of servers with your LAN network also and with your WAN network also. So if we talk about the cloud server, so cloud server means used in cloud computing. If you are doing cloud computing, then you can use this type of server. Means that server will not available physically, and you can use it on cloud over the internet. It can be accessed from anywhere, and it works like follow, pay, and as you go down. Means for this you have to pay for cloud server. Like this, we have multiple types of cloud server. Suppose we are using google.com. So google.com is also a cloud server. It is not available in our physical location. It is available over the internet. Facebook.com is also, HCL.com is also the cloud server. So that is cloud server. And the next question is, if you want to create a server, then which applications or which type of operating system and which things we have to need. So for that, we have to need firstly server operating system. So Windows, or we can say Microsoft, provided two types of operating system. One is client operating system and second is server operating system. So Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows 7 are client operating system. Means you can easily just connect this type of operating system like Windows 7 in 10 or 11 with the server, and you can make uh, this operating system as a client to this server, this Windows 7, 10 or 11. And in server operating system, Microsoft provide the Windows Server 2012, 2016, 2019, and 2022 is also released. So we have this type of server operating system available, right? So if you want to create a server, then firstly you have to just install the operating system, install the server operating system. Then after that, you have to just configure some services. Configure some services means, so for that we have this concept Active Directory Domain Service. So let's understand about this Active Directory Domain Service. What is the meaning of this? So if you will see here, so firstly we have to understand this word Active Directory. Before understanding Active Directory Domain Service, just see this Active Directory. So what is the meaning of this Active Directory? So Active Directory, we can say it's a database in which for all users information is available. Like suppose I'm just creating a server. This is my server, and I connected two system as a client, and we have also one switch available. I connected this type of topology. This is my server. right? And these are client. Now, what will happen? Active Directory means what? The database which is available in this server, in which the user information, the password, and some other information also you can put there, like the phone number or email ID or anything you can put there. So this is called the Active Directory, by which when you try to log in with that domain user, for that we have to just log in with the domain user in this client machine, in this Windows 10 or Windows 11 system. Like I think on your machine, on your office laptop, has also the domain user. When you just log in, when you just turn on your system, then firstly you have to type the username, then password, then you can just log in your system. So that time, what will happen in backend when you type the username and in the password? That time, automatically your machine will try to connect with that server with which your operating system is connected, and then this server will check your information like the username and password in his database. Is it available or is it correct? Did you just put the correct password and put the correct username? If it is correct, then you can log in. Otherwise, it will show you a error. Right? So that database is Active Directory. So this Active Directory used for authorized and authenticate all users and computer in a Windows domain network, in securing the security of the computer and software through Active Directory variables. Function can be managed like creating domain user, connecting to the printer. So in simple way, we can say it's a database for containing all the information of users and the password of the client machine. This is Active Directory. But the next question is, for this managing to manage this Active Directory, we have to need some services which will work in backend, the background services which will work in backend, and when you just try to log in, that time automatically it will just active, and then try to check in database. We have to need some services. Otherwise, we have to just manually check first one by one. When any client will try to open that user, that time you have to manually check that database. Or otherwise, we can just create a service. This service will work in backend automatically, and when you just try to open your system, then automatically it will check in database. If the information is correct, then it will allow the access. Otherwise, it will show you the error. So that service is Active Directory Domain Service. So in server part, we have two words, that is role and features. Role and features. So role and features means what? Role means the application, we can say, the application which is need to allow that service, or which is need to run that service. This is the application, right? And features means the, we can say, dependency. Dependency means the supportive applications. Like suppose you are using Active Directory domain service. So for this feature, we have available group policy. At group policy, we used to apply the policy on client machine. So that is not the main package. That is a supportive package. You can use it, but it is not mandatory. If you don't want to use, that's okay. But this role is mandatory. Means if you want to use this Active Directory domain service, in that case you have to install this Active Directory domain services role first. After that only you can use this service. So Active Directory domain service, it's a server role. You can create a scalable, secure, and manageable infrastructure for users and resource management. And this ADDS means Active Directory Domain Service can provide support for directory level application like Microsoft Exchange Server or Microsoft SharePoint Server. Means if you are using any type of server, that can be the Exchange Server. Exchange Server means your mail server. So in that case also, if this type of Active Directory Domain Service work in backend, you have to firstly install this server role. After that only you can create any type of server. So first need is, if you want to create the server, so you have to install the ADDS service, this Active Directory Domain Service. You have to install that. Then you have to promote this as a domain controller. Means you have to configure this service. You have to create your domain. You have to assign the domain name, and you have to just assign the password for that domain. After that, you can only use that domain name like the when this client will try to connect with that server, then we have to need one identity by which server we will connect. So that identity is like domain name. Like if you want to use that google.com, so that time we have to need one name. How we can access this google.com, because over the internet we have multiple server available. Google.com, facebook.com, and other servers is also available. So we have to need one domain name, right? So how we can create this domain name and how we can install this active directory, so we will see this. But before that, ADDS has following feature. Means ADDS will do these things, like it manage user logon process. When you will try to log in, it will authenticate and it will directory searches. It manage the communication between user and domains. After that, when you just log in that, after that, domain and user will connected in background. So it will manage the communication. When this domain will apply any group policy on that client, automatically it will apply. So that means it is in backend automatically connected. It is stored directory data. Also, ADDS has a mechanism to locate and retrieve information from the system. If you will change anything from the domain, or if you will do anything in client, so that will automatically retrieve. And server on which this ADDS service is running, that is called domain control. If you just install the operating system only, this is only the server operating system, right? When you just install this ADDS service and configure that, after that this server will be known as like domain control. This is my domain control, which has the domain on which you just created one domain name like hcl.com or by any name. That is domain name, right? And one more thing, domain controller. So domain controller means what? As we discussed, on which server you just install this ADDS service and then configure that, that is known as domain controller. So domain controller is a physical server that hosts Active Directory database, right? And to managing this type of Active Directory database in backend, we have two protocols, because there is a rule. If anything work in a network, so for that we have some protocol. If you are doing anything in a network, so for that in backend there is some protocols. So to connect this server with the client, we have two protocol works in backend. Number one is NTDS DIT, that is Network Technology Directory Service and Directory Information Tree. This is first protocol. Second is sysvol. Sysvol protocol is used to replicate between domain controller. When you are just doing anything, so it will replicate on client, right? And NTDS DIT is used for directory searches. Like it will just directory information tree. It will just allow to authenticate for the client or authorize for the client or to connecting for the client. This NTDS DIT means in backend this two protocol will work. And we have this forest, ADDS forest. So what is the mean of this ADDS forest actually? ADDS forest means what? It has a highest level in the Active Directory. Or if you will just see like that, suppose we can say, as we discussed, ADDS means what? It's a, or Active Directory means what? It's a database. This is my database, right? So in database, we have per header, right? In header, you have the information about that database, which type of database, which type of domain you are using. Suppose if I will take one example, like I have the database, all of you available, like we are just doing this training. So for this training, we have the database. In that database, we have the information of your name, of your step ID, of your email ID, right? So in that information, we have one header. And in header, what's the mean? This is the CTT training, or we can say foundational training, right? And it is started from 26 February. So this is the header. That means in header, you have the information. or we can say this is the heading for the database, ADDS forest. It can be like, which you just known as like your domain name. If I will set hcl.com, hcl.com, and then we will create some user like user one, and the password for user one is 12345. So this 12345 and user one, this is the active directory. Means it has the information of the users. And this hcl.com is the forest at which we created to connect the client. So it has highest level in the active directory. Means it has the highest level in the active directory. It is the logical security boundary for an enterprise. Means it is also the security boundary. When any client will try to connect with that server, that time it has to be connect with this forest, with this domain name. By default, a user or administrator of one forest cannot access another forest. Means at one time you can only connect with single forest, right? So this is ADDS forest. Now see how we can install this ADDS in server, and how we can configure this ADDS, like how we can create this forest, this domain name, and then how we can connect with the client. So before that, just let me know, is that clear everything? What's the mean of ADDS, server, forest?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and
Yes,
then
sir.
okay, perfect. Now let's go to our machine. There we will configure. So this is my server machine. You can see, right? This is server operating system by default installed on your machine also. So if you want to check the server information, so I will right click on this PC, then properties. Here you can see, there is a this is a so Windows Server 2019, right? This is Windows Server 2019 standard. So this standard is the addition. Like in Windows 10, we have the Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Home. Like the same in server, we have this standard data center. We have this Hyper-V, right? So standard we are using. So after that, in server, we have one more utility, that is server manager. This is everything for the server. Means if you are doing anything in server, then you can do everything in this server manager dashboard. In server manager, don't need to go anywhere. If you want to set the IP, you can set here. If you want to change the host name, you can change here. If you want to change the time also, you can change here. Means everything you can do in this server manager. So this server manager is everything for the server operating. So first thing is, this is dashboard. So we have to configure the ADDS. So you can see here, we have only, this is the role and server groups, means available roles. So we have only this file and storage service, local server, all server. That's all. We don't have any ADDS available, Active Directory Domain Service. So how we can install this? So for this, just click on this add roles and feature. We can click on this, or you can click on this manage option. Click on this manage, and then first option is same, add roles and feature. Right? You can click on that. After that, we have this before you begin. Click on next, then installation type. So we are going to install role. So first option you have to select role based. Okay. Then next, then you have to select the server pool. So this is the by default server pool in which my operating system is work. This is the host name. This is my IP address. This is my operating system. So by default it is selected. So don't need to do anything here. Just do next. This is the rules, right? So these all rules is available in the server operating system. So we have to configure Active Directory domain service. So you can see here this on second number we have this Active Directory domain service. This second number, Active Directory domain service. So click on that. It will show you this option, add features. Click on that, right? So now it is selected. Now do next. This is the features. Features means supportive application. So we don't have to need to install any supportive. By default, all the application is selected which we have to need, like group policy, client for NFS, everything is available. So don't need to do anything. For advanced user, we have multiple features also available. We can do some more things also. But for now, Don't need to select anything here. Just do next. Here, this is the ADDS Active Directory information. Like you can just see the notes. So here you can see ADDS require a DNS server also. So if you want to configure ADDS, then you also need this DNS. DNS means domain name server, as we also earlier discussed. Because you are going to configure one domain name like HCL.com. So who will convert this HCL.com into the IP, your machine IP? So that is DNS. So that means you also have to install one DNS service also, which will in backend just convert this domain name into IP address and IP address into domain. So don't need to do anything. Automatically it will install that DNS also when you install this ADDS. So do next. Here, this is the option restart the destination server automatically if required. So just click on this. So if it is required to restart your system, so it will automatically restart your machine. Right. So just click on this and then install. So feature installation is started. It will take some time. How we can configure this? So for that, you can see this option promote this server to a domain control. Here we can also see this option. Otherwise, if you close this window, then you have to click on this flag icon. Click on this, and here you can find this option promote this server to a domain control. So click on that. Then then we have three options. So we have to click on the last option because we are going to create a new forest. Click on that, add a new forest. You can give here any name. Like I'm just giving trainer, mhm, trainer.com. Right, but it's like a domain name. So make sure you have to put this .com .in also. So trainer.com, you can also give your name and then next. In next option, we have this password option. So put the password. So make sure you have to remember this password. Otherwise, if you just forget this password, so you will not be able to use this machine, this whole machine again. So you have to assign the cloud at the rate C capital cloud at the rate $123. Same password you have to put, right? Otherwise, because we have not any access available for this physical machine, so we will not be able to reset that password. So cloud C at the rate 123 and dollar, right? And next. After that, this DNS options. So don't need to do anything here. Just do next. That BIOS name. So automatically it will configure that. So wait for a moment. Hmm. So it is configured. Automatically it is taken this trainer name. NetBIOS means what? NetBIOS means it is the name which will show in network for this device, for this server in which I am just connected. Do next here. Let it be next. Hmm. Now next thing is this is the database folders like database folder location, log file folder location, sysvol folder location. So don't need to change anything here. But in your organization, if you have to need to change this location, so you can change easily here. But we will not change. So just do next. Then review option. So here you can review for all options which you selected earlier. Then next. Now next it is just checking for the prerequisite. So it will check if everything is okay. Then you will get the option to install. So let it be checked. So on upside you can see this all prerequisites check passed successfully, right? Otherwise if you will get any error, so you have to read that error. Suppose you if you have not any network connection, then it will show you error. So you have to read that error, then you can find there a network error. So you have to Just troubleshoot that network error. Then you can install this. You can configure it. But for now, we have just successfully. So just click on install. So now it will take some time. Let it be refresh. After that, now see my screen. Right, so here you can see in this dashboard. Now I have this ADDS and DNS service. Right. So as when you install this ADDS service, automatically this DNS service will be installed. So now we have both of the service. And in this local service, we have this one error. So just click on that. Service means here one service is not started. Click on that and let's see. So this Google update service is not available. So always in every time you have to check here if any service is stopped, then you have to start that. But this is the Google update service. So update service means what? It will only start when you restart your system. So I will try to start, but maybe it will not start. But make sure if you will see any other service here, so you have to start that. So it is not started because for that we have to restart system. So no issue. I will not start this service, but all the services are started. After that, the next thing is we have to connect the client system. Means we have to create the client. For that, we have to need one client operating system. Means like Windows 10 or Windows 11, any operating system we have to need. So just close this and open your VMware. In VMware, we earlier installed Windows 10. So I will open this VMware workstation, and here we have this Windows 10. So click on that Windows 10 and power on. Then open. Let it be power on. Now just try to power on your machine. It's to complete completing the system. That will be complete. Now see my screen, everyone.
Yes.
Now this is turned on. Okay, so cloud at the rate 123 and dollar. So to make the client, first thing you have to do, you have to just put the server IP address in DNS field of your client machine. Right, in DNS field, how you will fill? So just open run prompt. Now here, just right click on your Ethernet adapter, then properties, and let it be open until just check your server IP address. So I'm just checking my server IP address. So run, or I will open directly the CMD of server IP config. So my server IP address is 192.168.87.41. Okay, 87.41. So I will assign this IP on this machine, Internet Protocol version 4, then properties, and here in DNS field in bottom side, don't need to change anything on upside. Just click on bottom side, this use the following DNS server address and type that address 192.168 and then 87.41. This is my server IP. Then okay, close. It's set. Second thing is you have to add the domain. So to add the domain, just right click on your this PC. So right click on this PC and then go to properties, and in properties just scroll down, and in last just click on this option, rename this PC advanced. Right, rename this PC advanced, and when you will click on this option, then you will get this prompt. Here just click on this change icon, change, and then member of, we have two options, domain and work group. By default it is in work group, so we have to click on this domain option, domain, then type your domain name. So my domain name is trainer.com. Trainer trainer.com. Just type that and do OK. Then it will ask for the username and password. Type here administrator, and then password cloud at the rate 123 and then dollar. Then OK, right? And let it be processed. So it will show you is that connected or not. In backend, it is trying to connect with that server. Hmm. So here you can see welcome to the trainer.com domain. Means it is connected. Just do OK. Then again do OK. Then click on close. When you click on close, it will show you the option restart now. Click on restart now. So it will restart and it will take some time after this. So earlier we installed ADDS in server and then we just make this Windows 10 as a client for that server. Now the next thing is we have to create a user in server and then we will log in that user in this client machine. Because this trainer is my local user. But after joining the domain, I have to log in with the domain user. So firstly, I have to create one domain user in server. So how we can create that? So for that, let me minimize this. In server, just go to your server manager and in server manager, then before doing anything, just see here we have two services stop. Click on that. Which service? Easy update. Okay, that is also the update service. But it can be the start. That is now started. Do okay. Now, how we can create? So for that, just click on this tools option. Tools. Click on that. Then next option is Active Directory users and computer. This option. Click on that. So here we have this prompt. In this prompt, just expand this trainer.com, this domain. Then click on this users option. Double click on this. Then you can see all the available users. But these are some systems user. We have to create one user for the client. So right click here or just right click on this users, right click and then new, then click on user and fill the information here. So I'm just creating suppose new user. You can give any name, that is new user, and in user login name just type the name new user, because which name you will type in this user login process, that time you have to fill there at the time of login. So user login name, that is the same new user. Do next. Right, password, you can set any password, but I will set this cloud at the rate 123 again, cloud at the rate 123 and dollar, so that I will not be confused for the password. So cloud at the rate 123 and dollar, and the same thing, just untick this option and tick second and third option, or otherwise if you want that after in first login user can change the password, so you can tick on this first option also. But now I'm not doing anything with, so I'm just click on second and third option, so user cannot change the password and password will never expire. Do next and finish. User is created. Here you can see this is the user, new user. So now try to log in this user in client machine. So open your VMware again and here just click on this other users, this user, right? And I think all of you when open means when you turn off your system, that time you will get this type of prompt, same prompt. Here you just type your name and I will type this new user and then password. So in password, my password is cloud at the rate of 123 and dollar and then enter. So now it is login. So that means successfully my system is connected with that server and it is able to log in with that uh, domain user. It's logging in. So now just try to create this user in your machine and try to log in that on VMware. Start to do this. So this is how we can create the user and we can log in that user in client machine. And now this machine is a client machine. Now you can't do anything. Now you can't run any administrative command here. If you will try to run any administrative command, suppose I will try to run gpedit.msc, gpedit.msc, and then enter for group policy. There is showing access is denied. I can't do anything. And if I will try to run a next command, suppose I will just lcpa.cps, run lcpa.cps, right? It's running, but if I will do a right click and then properties and try to change the password, so it is showing you have to fill the uh, user information and the password. So yeah, you have to fill the administrator and the password of your domain machine, right? So we have some restrictions now because it is covered by that server.